Hey everybody, thanks for joining us this Sunday afternoon. It's our first Sunday afternoon interview that we're going to be having. I am going to have my acquaintance, my friend Rebecca Spencer Mountain on. She's going to be talking about her upcoming talk at the OREA conference, the OREA Reality conference. That's coming up very soon on February 27th. She is giving a talk on lead generation, basically lead generation and conversion, generally speaking. So we're going to have her on. We're going to chat about all things social media, and we're just going to see, pick her brain a little bit and see what she thinks about all the things that are happening on Facebook and online in terms specifically of social media marketing and just engagement with clients and why you're seeing the things that you're seeing in your Facebook feed and all that sort of stuff. So without further ado, I think she is ready to go. So I'm going to try and unmute her because, we like to listen to her. And we'll switch over. And there she is. How you doing, Rebecca?
I'm good. How are you, Tony?
Good. I think you're live. I think everybody can hear you. Nobody's complaining yet, so that's good. I just want to let everybody know that I'm watching the feed, so if you do have any questions or comments as we go along, please feel free to leave them below. There is a slight delay, like 30 seconds or so by the time I broadcast and you see it, so there's probably a little bit of a delay by the time I see your question, but we'll try to get them answered if you do have any. And that's pretty much it for me, so I'm just going to let you talk for a bit. I know who you are. I've been dealing with you for a number of years. I know through Remax here in Hamilton. You used to do a lot of work for us, and you came in and gave a few talks actually on social media marketing going back at least 3-4 years now.
It's been going back a while now. I've done a lot of talks with you guys. I actually still help out a lot with the brokerage, and I work with actually a bunch of different brokerages.
Yes.
I've been teaching at TREB for almost 8 years now. So this coming summer is going to be 8 years that I've been training through the Toronto Real Estate Board. So it's kind of a fun milestone to have coming up.
Oh, there you go. So, I mean, I know, like I said, I know you through my association with Remax, but I know I've talked to people about you, and I've recommended you to a bunch of people from all kinds of brokerages all across Ontario and beyond. I usually see you as, and not to be too fluffy at the beginning of an interview, but generally speaking, I recommend you, and I tell people that of all the people that I go to see, I'm not really the type that goes to conferences for the cheerleading, for the woohoo type stuff. That's just not really my thing. I go because I want like practical advice, things that I can put into place in my business. Like what do I do when I wake up in the morning and like get to my office? Like how do I generate leads? How do I convert leads? How do I talk to people? So that's why I recommend you, because I listen to you and you know what you're talking about. So that's basically what I tell people. Like, the why should you go talk to Rebecca is because she knows her stuff. And that's basically it. And I let you take it from there. But how did you get started, I guess, with Impetus Consulting? That's your company. So how did that all come about as far as, like, you had the entrepreneurial spirit and everything, but as far as deciding to form a company specifically in like social media type marketing, how did that get started?
Well, it got started in a way that is a bit unconventional. So I used to work for corporate Canada doing database marketing, and I did sales and other type of marketing roles, and I like square peg, round hole. I was just a terrible employee, and I kept getting either fired or I kept quitting. Like
most people in real estate, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, except I took it to like a sport level. And so I was rounding out the last of my 6 jobs in 11 years, and I couldn't do it anymore. And so I had unfortunately split with my ex, but the fortunate side was we made money on the house. So I was in my early 30s, and I thought, what, if I'm ever going to start a business, I need some sort of a cash flow to sustain me, because when you start from nothing, you have nothing, right? Exactly. No clients, no nothing. So I just quit my job, and it was kind of a bittersweet kind of a moment, because I quit I think the day before they were going to fire me anyway. Yeah. So and it was just a wrong fit. It wasn't that I wasn't getting along or doing a bad job. It just wasn't working out. And so my boss, who was the president of a home building company, residential construction, he said, you know what, I believe in what you're doing. And so because when you quit, you don't get anything, but when you get fired, you do get packaged. I know this. And so he actually invested over $10,000 with me. He's like, I'm investing this in you because I believe in you, and use it to start your business. And it was such an overwhelming experience for me to have that kind of trust, because I had zippity-doo-dah idea of what I was going to do. I was good at marketing processes. I'd managed large multi-million-dollar marketing budgets for Canadian Tire and Air Miles and stuff like that, but I'd never done it on my own. So I went out trying to get, new business, and I would say, oh, I can help you with improving your marketing. And they're like, what? And I'm like, oh, forget it. What do you need? And they said, well, we need social media. And I'd never used it before. Like, I was on Facebook a little bit, but I'd never actually used it for business. So I'm like, well, it can't be that hard. But these businesses found it like ridiculously difficult. So I thought, all right, did a little bit of research, saw it was, so this is back now in 2010. So it's still fairly new for using it for business. And so I basically just immersed myself in the social digital marketing sphere. I went to conferences like you do to learn, to apply. I got certified by the Direct Marketing Association because I needed something. Sure. Other than nothing. And then my last job was a sales manager for a REMAX brokerage in sort of the Thorold, St. Catharines area. And Sorry. Yeah. So I was working as a sales manager for the home builder, but half my team was from REMAX. And so I basically went back to them and I'm like, listen, I'll just give you a really good deal if I could stop saying I have no clients. Sure. And I started consulting and coaching, and that's kind of how it started. So, a realtor led to another realtor, led to a meeting at a brokerage. And ultimately, where I took off in the real estate industry, because I could have done this for anybody, for any industry, but it took off when one of my clients said you need to get certified at the Toronto Real Estate Board, and knew someone on the education committee. So I went and I pitched 4 courses at the Toronto Real Estate Board. I was the first person who is not a realtor to actually get all 4 courses accepted. It was a strategy course, a Facebook course, a Twitter course, and a LinkedIn course. And that's what really blew up my business. And so that's kind of how I started. And then, as you recall, in 2013, RICO decided that you guys didn't need credits anymore to get your licenses. And that's when I almost went bankrupt. That's one of the first of 2 times I almost went belly up. And each time that happened, I could not go back and get another job. So I reinvented myself. It's a matter of really, and this is kind of sort of leading into my talk coming up on March the 1st. It's a matter of really understanding what your target market wants, delivering something that does something. So, but no, and whether you're talking about content or Facebook ads, like for lead gen or listings or anything that you're doing, it should always lead you don't just do it just to do it. You do it because it's going to do something for you. So when I post content, I'll go like the extra mile of attaching a little send message button. Every business page has this option. You have some content and say you're talking about, it could be a testimonial or it could be really anything. And you say, as part of your content, if you want to know more about this, just send me a message. And then what I do is I've set up my business page such that if anyone sends me a private message on my business page, there's an instant reply that uses their first name. So that instantly makes it feel like it's actually me doing it. It's not, spoiler alert. And then it contains a link to my scheduling tool. So I use Appointment Core because I don't like, when are you free? Oh, no, I'm busy. Oh, I'm double booked and all that kind of stuff. So you go right into my calendar, find a time, and then we meet at the appointed hour. And because people book it themselves, 99% of the time they show up. Sure. I mean, a lot of realtors struggle with cancellations, right? So I work with realtors on lead generation, and online leads are fickle at best. And so what you need to do is find a mechanism that draws them into your sales funnel. So again, that's using content as an example. So a content that drives a message that drives an appointment, because that's how I make money. My systems aren't like $30. It requires a strategic conversation. Now, that's not to say I close everyone, but they get into my prospects funnel, and I have a process for that, which is sort of the other part of what I'm talking about on March the 1st is what's the conversion process? Like, you get a lead, and you hear people bragging, oh, I got X number, hundreds of leads a month, and I'm like, whoop-de-snot. If it doesn't do anything,
I converted 0.
It's a number, right? You're not actually generating sales. So part of it is getting the right people into your funnel. And then the other thing is to understand that even if they don't convert right away, it's not that they're bad leads, they're just not ready. And when you change that mindset of how you approach your leads, you create a much more systematic way of following up with them. And that's how you generate money.
Yeah, and like you're saying, if you know your target market, if you know your target audience at this point, that's really where the mindset is shifting at this point as being, and I know you've mentioned it on the Facebook groups that I'm in with you, about changing from sort of geo-farming type idea, even though we still kind of do some of that, but more developing an audience, right?
Yes,
and so
absolutely.
You're like you said, you're putting out specific content, so it's going to attract a certain type of client, and that's attracting the client that, if you're just putting out everything, if you're getting a lot of these automated services, and I don't want to name too many of them, but you know who they are out there.
I built one. I built it and then I blew it up because I couldn't stand behind it anymore. It doesn't make sense. And I there was a thread this morning about that, and I think there's a couple of comments in there. There's always these new services that are going to tout a way for you to have what I call a pulse, but a pulse doesn't. Again, it doesn't do anything for you, and in the end, it actually hurts you, because any third-party service, even if you schedule stuff for Facebook on Hootsuite, Facebook knows it's a third-party service. They consider that kind of junky. And if you do it, just a head-to-head test, post something on your business page yourself, like natively to the platform, and then post almost the exact same thing through a Hootsuite, or if you have another system, and just see what the difference is in organic reach. And it's mind-blowing. I can use Hootsuite for things like LinkedIn or Twitter, even Instagram. Sure. I'll use it for Instagram because it's a different beast. Instagram, it does have, not as much. I'm sure it's not the best, obviously, because Facebook always wants you to use the platform, but it's a mostly mobile device, and it's a different beast, and so it doesn't hurt you as much. I will never use an automated service for Facebook. So we do content for our clients, and we become admins on their page. We log in and we post it directly to them using the scheduling tools on Facebook, so that we get the maximum reach possible.
Absolutely, and I think I've used those services before, like a Hootsuite type thing, or Clout is another one that you can use.
That was a big one, yep.
Yeah, and I've used them mainly, like I'll be attending like the R4 conference in Vegas, so I'm doing a lot of social media work for them. So I've had a bunch of pre-planned work, a bunch of posts that were pre-planned before I went in, but I also did a lot of stuff on the go while we were there. So the combination of having them just pretty much constantly all day kept people tuned in. But like you say, if you're just doing that as your main way of posting to these sites, they automatically downgrade you basically and try to hide your content from the people that you're trying to reach. So you're doing all this work to create this content, and you get it set up and get it put out there, and then nobody sees it. And so it just burns your hours that you put into doing all this type of stuff, right? It doesn't really do it.
So if it's not your time, I mean, you may say, oh, it's only $30. Well, what if you could turn $30, say instead of doing that, you put $30 into a lead ad, so a listing that you have, and you turn it into a lead ad, so that when people see that, you can say, click here to get more information or to book a showing, and then you can get their first name, last name, email, phone number. Spend $30 on that, because that could turn into a sale. Like, don't burn your money on stuff. It's not going to generate sales. That's everything. Everything that I do is predicated on, will this lead me closer to generating a sale? Will this lead me closer to building a relationship that'll eventually generate a sale? And if you don't have that mindset in everything you do for your business, then you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, and I know from talking to you, and I know from one of the sessions actually that you did at REMAX, about probably the first one I saw you about 3 years ago now. You're a big believer in like measuring, right? So I from where I came from in corporate life and where I moved into in real estate, that's kind of the perspective I come from. I have a science background too, so data makes sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me to keep doing something just for the sake of doing it. If I'm going to do it, I want to analyze it and see what kind of a result I'm getting out of it, and then measuring that and saying, okay, well, I'm putting this much effort or this much money into, I don't know, what, postcards, direct mail, whatever it is, newspaper ads, like in the classifieds, or online prospecting and lead gen, like Facebook lead gen or whatever. What am I getting back from it, right? Or even things like door knocking. If I have to knock on 500 doors to get 2 soft leads, and that takes me, I don't know how many hours or days it takes me and all that kind of stuff, versus setting up a Facebook ad, which might take me about half an hour, maybe. Putting in about $100 or so, even on a small budget, and generating, say, 12 CMA requests for that same, like that half an hour that I spent there at $100 versus 2 or 3 days of knocking on doors and maybe 2 people saying, okay, maybe I'll let you talk to me, kind of thing. To me, I look at that and I'm like, why? Why would you spend?
I know.
I'm lazy. I'd rather do the half an hour Facebook ad and then get 12 leads out of it and people asking me like, yeah, I want you to tell me. It's very specific. It's very targeted. They go to whether it's a Facebook lead gen or landing page. This is here to tell you what your house is worth, so they know exactly what they're there for. Versus me just knocking on their doors and be like literally spend days doing that. And I'm just like, no.
And that's not building any revenue for you while you're doing that. Right? Like, no. I look at what I do less and less like a marketer as much as I am a data scientist. And so when someone says to me, okay, so for instance, we did a very simple listing ad. They're so easy to put together once you have a formula, and that's what we do. We formulate, and then we just blow it out. So, and we test things. We tested 3 images. It was a really cool kind of a loft home. It had, the kitchen there was 2 sort of sides of it. One had exposed brick on one side, and the other one was those cool white subway tiles. Yeah. And then there was like another picture, I think, of the outside or something. Anyway, so we don't know which one of those images is going to be the best, and so we run them all. Right, and so the client calls me daily. He's like, "Oh, Rebecca, you gotta kill the white tiles one, and I really think the exposed brick one is going to be doing better." So I went into the actual campaign, and I'm like, "So here's the thing: the white tiles picture is doing 12 times better than the other one. So do you really still want to kill it?" And he's like, "Nope." You don't want to do it. And so the data is going to tell you. And, I'm working right now on additional data partnerships. So people who have a ridiculous amount of information that I can pull from and create really different lead generation campaigns. Because you can generate leads from listings, and that's fantastic. But what do you do if you don't have any? And that's a big struggle for a lot of realtors, especially the ones who are trying to grow. They don't have the listings. So you can't create those 5-second, quick and dirty listing leads, or maybe you don't want to run the what's your home worth thing because everyone else has already done it and burned that bridge. But what do you do? And what I love to bring to the table is like, well, I'm not going to try to guess what people like the conjunction consumer out there. I'm going to let the data tell me what they're looking at, and that's what I'm going to build a campaign around. And then once you run that, then you get the data back and you start pulling off. Like I ran a campaign recently for a client in Florida. And so I have a guy on my team, and he has like one job, and that's just create the ads and then analyze and report them and find the gaps. And what we did is we went looking in there, and it turned out that marketing to men was 3 times more expensive than marketing to women. Mm-hmm. So we cut them off. Why would we do that? And that's what I love about Facebook, is because you can slice and dice, how to find the gold, and what devices are people using, what platform is delivering the best results, and so you get off. Like, so we do. I looked at one test. We had about 12 different variations. Well, we cut off like fully half of them because they were underperforming. Right, the cost per lead was like $40 or $20, and there were other ones that were generating leads at $3. Well, hi, chop off the ones that are costing too much money, scale up the ones that are doing better, and that's really what I love. The data will always tell you. You got to run it for a little bit, which makes it really uncomfortable, because you got to generate data before you can really outline a story. But the more experience, I've been doing this now for almost 8 years. The story emerges, but you have to let the story kind of create itself. We have to remove personal bias. A lot of people, I do email marketing, so email conversion, automation, stuff like that, and they're like, I don't want to get an email once a day for 4 days right after I come in a funnel. That would annoy me. Mm-hmm. And my response back was, no, you have to stay hot right when they come into the funnel, because that's the time they're most likely to take action. Now, they don't always do that, but just because you don't like getting that doesn't mean everyone else isn't going to like it. I don't care. I love that stuff, right? Email me till I'm dead. And the thing is, it's just a matter of don't put out annoying content. And unfortunately, again, taking the lazy man route, they have these automated services that just write all the content for them. It's not them. Right?
Exactly.
And even when we write the content, we're working with our clients. We're like, this is what our data is telling us. These are the emails that are getting the highest open rate. So this is what we're going to write about. And then we pull that together and we launch. So we're always very, very concerned about doing it in their voice. That's why, I don't subscribe. There's a purpose, and some people love those automated services because it's a touch, and for them, it flies, whatever. Kind of like you said earlier, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to tell you my opinion, and then you can mull it over, have a conversation, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
a lot
kind
of
of
people, like you say, though, they kind of get into that autopilot mode in some cases. And again, they build some personal bias. So maybe 10 years ago they had a ton of success with a postcard campaign or a bunch of postcard campaigns, and they kind of get into that mode and they never get out of it, even though they're seeing diminishing returns. But again, if you're constantly analyzing the data, if you're looking at what you're spending and what kind of response you're getting for it, what the cost per unit is, basically, like I'm spending out 5,000 postcards 6 times and I get 1 phone call. Like, is it worth it anymore at this point? Like, is it working? and they don't really look at it that way, right? They just kind of say, well, once upon a time, and it's a FOMO thing too. It's that fear of missing out. It's like, well, there might be that one person that might call me, but to get them, you had to send out 30,000 postcards. It's like, no, just move what you're doing, kind of thing. And the data is actually super important. I think I just came back from Inman a couple of weeks ago. I've mentioned a few times on here in New York, and one of basically, and I think it was Simon Sinek that said it. I'm not sure. It might have been one of the guys from Facebook. But basically what they said was, for the past 100 years, oil has been the precious resource. But for the next 100 years, it's going to be data. It's just mining data. How do you use that data, and how do you just continually interpret it? And I kind of learned this trick from you, I think. Is basically doing what you're doing, like doing all the testing and all that sort of stuff. And this was in the early days of Facebook ads. Things were not quite as sophisticated as they are now. But ever since then, I basically, as an agent, I take that data and actually show it to my clients. So when I'm listing their property, I take it all and I put it into a report and I send it to them and I say, look, here's what I did last week. I put your ad out. It's a very targeted ad in a certain area, and it captured men and women. Here's the images we used or the video that we used. After a few days, we noticed that, the women were really responding, but the men weren't, or vice versa. Or all the responses were on mobile feeds and the desktop feeds were dead. So like you said, we just cut those ones off and take all the money and put it to where the people were, where the eyeballs were. And you explain that to a client, and you explain that level of sophistication as to what you're doing in terms of targeting ads and targeting the people that might actually buy their house. And their opinion of you just goes right through the roof because nobody else is telling them that. Everybody else is still putting ads in the Spectator on the weekend, and you can't click on a paper ad and get more info. It doesn't work. You can't watch a 3D walkthrough on the newspaper. It doesn't work.
It's interesting. So I have a client, and she's been my client for about, I think we're like 5 or 6 years now. And we promote her listings and put it out there and turn them into ads or whatever. And she has people come and become her client. They're say, you know what you did with their home and how you created it? I want you to do that for me. And she's like, yeah, of course. I do that for everybody. But they're asking for it. And what people really want is they want to say, okay, so I'm trusting you as a realtor to sell my home, and I expect you to do absolutely the latest and greatest in terms of getting it out there. Don't just say, well, your reputation is going to carry it. Very few people can go just based on reputation alone, and attract a lot of cool buyers. And so when you show them the data, and then also you make sure you understand the data. You can't just show a bunch of numbers, because they'll ask you a question, you're going to get like deer in the headlights. And that'll be like absolutely deadly. But they want to know, what did it do? And again, this is coming back to like my overarching philosophy of my business. What does it do? Like when I run a lead ad for somebody, what did it do to that person's business? How quickly did we convert that lead into a client? So I have lots of services, but one is just straight up lead gen. And so what I do is I don't just say, okay, well, here's your leads and give you a report. Try it, good luck. If they're not successful converting those into sales, I won't have clients. And so I study and, again, execute a different set of services on immediate responses, right? Which, by the way, is a text. Don't ever call. No one will pick up the phone. If you call them and they're like, they don't see your number or they don't recognize it, they're not going to pick up. But if you text and say, hey, it's Tony, just want to make sure you got the report I sent you, or if you're asking for offering a CMA, tell me something about your home, tell me something that's unique about it, or you ask a question. And then you start that texting dialogue. It is awesome. I had the new message ad that launched recently on Facebook is brilliant for that, because the open rate, because so what happens is you click on an ad, so someone sees your ad, they click on it, and they get a message into their messenger, their Facebook Messenger. And so you predetermine what that message is. One aspect of that, you have to have a question, because it's not registered as an actual response, or it's called a subscription. So whereas someone's basically, when you type a lead ad, you submit the form and that's considered a lead. It's the same idea on the message ad, but if they don't respond, it's not considered an actual lead. So you need to ask a question like, just type yes below to confirm that you got this message. Yeah. Right? You ask a rhetorical question, and then they answer yes, and boom, now you've got them. And now you can sort of further the relationship by asking deeper questions, so that you get, and again, the more you get sort of connected to those people, the better. And the open rate for those messenger ads is 90%, and based on my data, the response rate is between 50 and 60%. Yeah. So again, you need to choose. There's about 15 types of ads on Facebook, sure, and a lot of people pick the wrong one. But yeah, they're easy actually when you figure it out. The name of the ad is what it's going to do. If you want to drive traffic to your website, you run the traffic ad. If you want a lead, you run the lead ad, right?
Absolutely,
if you want to generate messages, I mean, but it's like it's incredible how many people choose the wrong ad. But yeah, so this is the stuff I like to study. Obviously, I don't have that much time to talk about it on March the 1st. So these kind of conversations are fun because I can kind of expand a little bit more on what people can do, and at least spark some inspiration on. If you're going to do online marketing, do it properly, do it well, and analyze it. If you can't analyze it, you shouldn't be doing it. And that's probably, I've been, banging that pot and pan since I can remember.
Yeah. And it goes back to your content and stuff too. I mean, like getting a little bit into the changes that Facebook implemented over the last few months. People are, seeing changes and stuff to their feeds, and they're worried about not getting traffic anymore, not getting noticed on Facebook and that sort of thing. And it goes back to, like, if you were generating content that resonated with people, that they actually cared about, then you're going to keep getting engagement. Like, people are going to see it, they're going to like it, they're going to comment on it, they're going to share it, and then Facebook's going to notice that, hey, you do things that people like, therefore we're going to keep showing it to people. Basically,
exactly.
If people scroll by your content, or if they've always scrolled by your content, then you're just going to disappear because people just don't appreciate what you're doing. And that's kind of been one of my pet peeves, anyways, as far as real estate agents are concerned, is that unfortunately they get led astray by different people, and they think, like, you start a business page and you should get everybody in the universe to like your business page. Your mother, your brother, every other real estate agent that will trade likes. Hey, you like my page? I'll like your page. And then we'll both have lots of likes and everything will be great and fantastic, until they realize that, well, all these people that you're asking to like your page don't care about any of the content that you're posting. Like, I like you as a real estate agent, that's great, but I don't care about what houses are for sale in, like, Upper Manitoba. Like, I just don't. Like, I don't live there. I mean, they're nice to look at, for some real estate porn, if it's a really nice house, really beautiful house or something. But other than that, I really don't care. So I'm just not gonna engage with your page. And so Facebook thinks that the people who like your page, or the majority of them, think that what you're posting is boring because they're not liking it, and so by extension, they think you're boring. So they hide you, right?
Yeah.
So you want to be focused,
but
right?
The algorithm itself, so there's 150 different data points that go into what you see in your newsfeed or not. Okay, right. So there's 150,000 things to analyze, and a big chunk of it is how much time do people spend on your content. So, like, as they're scrolling down, right? So they're on their device. They're like, are they going like this, and are they stopping and going, oh, what's this? That's why video content is so incredibly important, because people stop and they watch, and then a clock starts ticking as soon as your post comes on someone's either computer or on their mobile device or whatever. And if you're stopping and spending time, that clock is tracking how much time you're doing, and your previous posts affect your future performance. So and again, this comes back to, not throwing out those crappy, not crappy, I shouldn't say they're crappy. I'm sure the content is good, but
generic.
the preloaded stuff the stuff that you didn't post yourself, let's put it that way, right?
Just use that kind of everybody has.
Exactly. Yeah. And, because it's generic and because it's just not that interesting, because you didn't choose it. So say if I'm your target audience, I'm a homeowner in Burlington. I got 4 kids, so eventually they're going to move out. They better. So, I have 4 potential homeowners sitting here in my home, and sure, yeah, they're in their teens. But, eventually, like you're retaining me as somebody would have some good future opportunities for you. Yeah. But if I just see just junk, say something like I saw something from a realtor who used a certain service, and what actually happened, it was, what was it about? It was not about housing. It was about some horrible event, some racially charged event.
It happened last week with the Florida shooting. Yes. There's an agent there, and she got a lot of negative attention because she used, I think it's paper.ly, and they're an aggregator, right? So they just, it automatically looks at Miami, Florida, whatever's trending in that particular area, and it doesn't really discriminate because it's just an algorithm. So it picked up on the school shooting, and it got included in her page or her publication, the paperly.publication, that as a real estate agent is really supposed to be about real estate and about sort of fun things happening in the city and that sort of thing. And it sort of used the hashtag that was attached to the school shooting as part of her business promotion. And so she got a ton of, and not even knowing, she just signed up for the service and thought everything would be great. So it wasn't like she intentionally did that, but because she put it sort of on autopilot like that and wasn't involved in it, wasn't choosing what was happening, it just kind of got attached to her. And the stink of that doesn't go away very easily.
No, I message her right away, and I'm like, take it down, take it down, take it down.
yeah, and it does happen, right? And you get into that, so you kind of got to control it. And the same, I would say the same with agents that just repost stuff. That if you're just, all you do is ever share links from the Globe and Mail and stuff. We have it happen here, monthly. Our board puts out the monthly stats, so they give us graphics, they give us charts and stuff. And the majority of agents here, all they do is repost a graph and just make a comment like, "Wow." What do you mean by wow? And after a while, it's great that you're putting out real estate content. So initially, people might get attracted to you and be like, "Oh, this guy or this girl likes to post articles about real estate and stuff I'm interested in." But after a while, they're going to want to know, well, what do you think about it? If I'm
what should I do about it?
If I'm going to hire you, I want to know that you are sort of interpreting the data in a way that makes sense so that I can trust you. I know the Globe and Mail's doing something, and I know the Toronto Star or City TV is doing something, but what do you think about it? And that's, I'm going to pay you eventually to sell my house. Tell me what you think. Write a blog, or at least write some or do a video like this and bring up the article and talk about it. Tell me what you think.
Yeah, and so many people, they don't want to do videos like this because they think they look weird and they sound funny or what have you. And I mean, again, if you've heard me talk about video at all, you heard me say that you look great and you sound fantastic. But if that's your hang up, shoot the video, post it, don't look at it, just get it out there, because you're your own worst enemy, and there's a time and place for blowing out of your comfort zone. I don't like being on video any more than the next guy, but I do it because I understand the algorithm. I understand the importance of audience building. So right now, list building is still a very, very important part of what you need to do for your business. You need a database, and then you need to mine the database. And I have a system called ADAMS, called Adaptive Digital Automated Marketing, and that's what it does. It has lead gen, converts them, and then nurtures them, reignites them, gets rid of the bad. It's this really cool system that I spent 1.5 years designing and building, because you need to be able to understand not only the list building part, but what we do to take advantage of the audience building is I coach and write video scripts for my clients to say, listen, you need to be on video, and I can't be you. So while I can do all of this cool stuff, I need you to be like the video star. And they get really uncomfortable. And the first one, I had a client, oh, bless their soul. They're a new client for me. And they did a video, and it was with my videographer. And he sent it to me, and it was just like, I don't know, ... And I'm like, oh, okay. And I watched it, and I called them and I said, listen, I love you guys. You are the sweetest people in the world, and you're brilliant, and your business is doing great, but I cannot in good conscience use this for marketing because, it was just, he looked uncomfortable. It was very obviously scripted and stuff like that. So they came over to my house, middle of a snowstorm, and we spent 2 hours because he needed a teleprompter. I don't use teleprompters, but I'm kind of a weird duck that way. Most people need something to guide them when they're doing some sort of video. Sure. So we spent 2 hours, nope, you sound like a robot. Nope, wow, what was that, right? And then the next iteration of videos were so much better. Like, I wouldn't say they were perfect, but they were just like right up there, and they're usable, right? It's just practice. And someone said to me recently, oh, you're so talented with video. And I'm like, no, I'm just a sucker for practice. And I knew that I had to do this. I'm not good at it. I don't feel comfortable doing it, right? It feels weird to me right now staring and talking to a little green dot. That's what it feels like to me when I'm like, but talk to the green dot as if it's a person, and then just roll with it. But it took a lot of practice for me to get there. But that's all it is. It's not talent. It's practice. Yeah. It's just hard work.
Yeah, and after a while, you notice, like, I'm pretty comfortable overall. I'm staring at my little blue dot instead of my green dot. But, personally, I enjoy it, right? So, I mean, even if I wasn't in real estate, I'd probably still be the person doing silly stuff on Facebook and YouTube and stuff just because, right? But not everybody's got that comfort level, though, right? But, like you say, it's just once you start, though, you start to realize, I look back now on my YouTube channel, and I've literally got a couple of hundred videos there. And I don't know where they all came from. It just kind of happened, right? I'm doing these live chats, and I'm doing, just random stuff here and there, chirping some of my real estate friends every so often, or talking about houses and talking about the market and this kind of thing. And eventually, you just kind of build that market, and then when you start building that content and you do it consistently enough, regularly enough, then you start to develop an audience because people know that you're going to be there. They know that they can come back on a regular basis, just like a TV show. They can come back every week, and that there's going to be something new for them to learn or talk about or just be entertained by. But ultimately, and I think I heard you say this once upon a time. I know I heard Valerie Garcia say it. She was probably one of the first people, and I think she was quoting somebody else. But basically, like, if you have that hang up where you think you look funny, you think you sound funny, well, when you see your client in person, you're going to look and sound funny. Like, you are what you are. And if that's what turns them off, you might as well have them see that on a video, get turned off, and just not call you and waste your time in the first place. So, I mean, I make the joke, like, I'm on video and I've got my Black Panther t-shirt on, and, I'll wear whatever and stuff like that. I'm not, dressed disgustingly or anything, but I'm comfortable. I do what I do and I talk. But if the fact that I wear a comic book t-shirt makes you think that I'm going to be a horrible real estate agent and you don't want to deal with me or something like that, I'd rather that up front and just don't call me.
It's interesting because as a woman, I didn't do videos because a lot of the other videos I was seeing, the women, they had full makeup, looked like they had their hair professionally done, and I thought, like, that's just not me. I have a very interesting background where growing up, I didn't wear makeup. I wasn't allowed. No makeup, no jewelry, no nothing. It was really very, very different. So I never learned. And when I left that particular group and I was in my 30s, I'm like, well, how do you learn? Like, what do I do, right? Yeah. I'd never cut my hair. I'd never worn makeup. I'd never bought jewelry. I didn't even know how to start. I had no idea, and so that held me back because I thought, I don't look like them, and like I'm comfortable. I think I've got an interesting personality. And again, not everyone's cup of tea, not everyone's favorite flavor of ice cream, but that's fine.
Cool, though.
People have criticized me for my website because, like, I swear on my website, I'm very casual on my website because that's who I am, and if that offends you, we really shouldn't talk. Like, I'm struggling, I'm not struggling, but I'm actually making a conscious effort not to swear while we're talking today, because I feel like, whenever I do a presentation, that's generally speaking how I approach it, right? So I respect it because some people do find it offensive, and I don't want them to be turned off an important message because of, I use a profanity or whatever. But if it's my real estate, like it's my website, I'm gonna be who I am. And some people hire me because of that, and some people don't come to me because of that. That's cool. That's in both cases, just like you said, you don't want those. You don't want those people. And video content. Just to touch briefly on terms, because we talked about way at the beginning, talking about the new rules that have come through. Sure. There's two things that Facebook has assigned as incredibly important for 2018, and the first one is video content. So you talked about a show, and some people say to me, Rebecca, every real estate agent needs to be doing video. How do I be different? And there is one strategy, and it's the most uncomfortable strategy if you've never done video. You have to create a regular show, same time, same day, every week, have a theme or a pattern or a topic list that you're going to be covering, show up on time, promote it the day before, run it for 10 to 30 minutes minimum. You can go for 90 if you really want to, but run it so that you talk about something for an extended period of time. And then once it posts to your business page, because as a Facebook Live video, as you know, this post as a video, then you can actually promote it. So turn it into a boosted post and then really go after a new market. And then you add a call to action button. And remember, the call to action button I use is that send message button. Every single time I do a video and I promote it that way, I get a sale. Not just like I get lots of appointments. The last video I did, I got 5 appointments. It was 30 seconds. It was about the organic reach changes, which I'll talk about in just a second. Sure. But so video is the most important one, live video in particular. Facebook is investing more in helping people like us get our videos out there than they are in their investment in WhatsApp that they bought for over $1 billion and Messenger, which is where a lot of the younger group are going. Again, if you're targeting younger people, that's why the message ad is so incredibly important, because that's where they live, that's where they play. And then the second thing is generating meaningful and thoughtful conversation. Okay, so that's why, again, the auto post, the auto reshare, like you were talking about, not really thinking about it, just put in like, wow, and it's like, okay, like, what am I supposed to do with this? You know, what you could say instead is like, so January in Burlington, we had a lot of new listings come on the market, but they sold in days. Now, I've been watching similar homes take 3, 4, 5 months to sell, and this January they would be up, 4 days later sold. And there's probably about 5 or 6 homes in my neighborhood that have done that. That's your message. You're like, if you want to sell, you know, there's that 120, I think, and again, I'm not a mortgage lender, but so anyone can quote me if I'm wrong. There's that 120-day holding period before the stress test rules, you know, the hatchet really comes down. So people are rushing to get approved before that hatchet falls. So they want to close before the end of March. So a message you say to people as a realtor, to someone like me, I'm not going to sell, but if I was kind of like, do I wait, you know, for the spring market or not? It's like, you would be insane to wait, because, you know, you're going to get a good price and you're going to get it quickly. And those are the two main things any consumer cares about, time and money, right?
Yeah. And the thing is too, like the conversations aren't complicated, because the thing is, I'm a real estate agent. Right, so we're mainly just talking to realtors in this video, but basically it's the same conversation that I'd have with the client, right? So there's nothing crazy about what I'm gonna say. Like, people say, what do I talk about and all this kind of stuff. Well, I would talk about the same things I would talk about to anybody who came up to me and said, hey, you work at RE/MAX or whatever. Like, what do you think about the market? What do you think about what's happening with the mortgage rules? And I'd have a conversation with them, but I have that same conversation with my webcam. And everybody who's on the other end, the blue dot, and everybody who's on the other end, but I'm reaching a much wider group of people, right? Yeah. So basically, you could, as a real estate agent, you could probably come up with 100 different topics.
Do you know how you do that? I've got a really awesome system I use to come up with topics, and I've been using this since forever, because we do content, right? And our clients would struggle with that too. How do I come up with what to say and post on my Facebook page? I use mind mapping. So in the core of, you know, their mind map, these are your goals. What are you trying to achieve with in this case, with your video? You're trying to influence, you're trying to get leads, you're trying to get sales, you're trying to build relationships. So that's at the core. Then you define sort of a key group of categories called trunks. And these are major topical categories like buyers, sellers, finance, community. If you have any other particular product focus like condos or retirement, downsizers, millennials. So you would have like maybe between 5 to 10 of these trunks. And then all you need to do is take one at a time, let's say you choose sellers, and come up with all the different questions the sellers would have. Do I need to stage? Do I stage with my stuff or your stuff? How do I set a home price? When's the best time to sell? How do I declutter? What the hell is decluttering, right? And, what do I do with my kids? And you brainstorm each trunk one at a time. And I do this with my clients. And within a half hour, 45 minutes, you'll get like 200 topics. There's your video topics. Walk up, figure and make a plan, say, okay, just map it all out. So we also do, because we do emailing for our clients, we have an email calendar. So we do biweekly emails, and I do biweekly, not monthly, because 30 days is long enough for me to totally forget who you are. Yep. And so we do biweekly, but we lay it out in 3 month chunks. Here's your 3 month calendar. We talk about topics. We kind of give little details on what we're going to be talking about. So we never have to guess. We're not like chasing every week, because that's exhausting and it's stupid and not efficient. Yeah. I've got a team of 15
But it takes work on the front end, right? And I think that's what people kind of get scared of, because they think it's this big ongoing project. But it's like anything else. I mean, if you create templates, if you create systems, like say for this video, like some people are asking what kind of software I'm using and stuff like that. And I've mentioned it before. I'm just using the OBS Open Broadcaster software. It's free. But the little frame that's around our faces and stuff right now, it's a template that I created. So I spent some time up front. I created a bunch of these templates and the going live templates and all that stuff. And then when I have to use them again, I just pop people's names in there, which takes me about 5 seconds, and I'm ready to go. So every time I want to do this video, I'm good to go. Like if you've got those topics, you spend the afternoon, or you spend the day, or whatever it is, you can probably go. There's a lot of websites that will give you like 100 different topics in real estate, like for first time home buyers, and for investment properties and stuff. Basically, just download their list. And then, you're a real estate agent, so pick their list. And if the list is, how do I find a good real estate lawyer? Well, talk about how you find a good real estate lawyer for about 10 or 15 minutes, and there's your video, right? As a first,
it's all there. It's all in here, right? You just need to structure it and systematize it. It's like
and have the confidence in what you know. I mean, have the confidence that you are an expert in what you're doing. If you don't really have that confidence in yourself that you know what you're talking about, then obviously you're going to come across that way, right? You're going to come across as unsure of yourself. No, whether you're on video or whether you're in person, you're going to come across that way, and people are going to shy away from you because they're looking for experts, they're looking for guidance, right? Especially if you're looking at, and I would say this about everybody, and I hate to bring up millennials because I hate that word. It just really bothers me. I'm a Gen Xer, and I hate when people call me Gen X guys all the time, and that was annoyed me too. But, if you're looking at the younger audience, they're doing a lot of self-discovery. They're going online and looking for information ahead of time. So if you become that source of information for them, and this is the pull marketing. Like I don't like. Personally, I don't use a lot of push marketing. I try to do it as a pull market. I try to just put the content out there so when people are looking for me, it's easy for them to find. So I'm on a bunch of different social channels. You can find the content easily. It's tagged properly. It's described properly. It's available. So when you're looking for me, you can find me. And once you find me, you can kind of very quickly find out everything's organized in playlists. So there's playlists about real estate. There's playlists about things in Hamilton. There's playlists about how to do interviews that I'm doing or something like that. So it's community videos, that kind of thing. So it's really easy to find the information. And then you become that source of information for them. So you're their go-to. So when the time does come, which might be 6 months from now, might be 6 years from now, you're going to be the person that they refer to, say, okay, this real estate thing is actually kind of complicated, just like fixing your computer is kind of complicated. Even though you can watch a million videos on YouTube to tell you how to do it, it's still pretty complicated. I'd rather have this guy or this girl do it because they obviously seem like they know what they're doing. Right?
Yeah, you speak knowledgeably. And, when I got into public speaking, especially in what I've since I've started my business 8 years ago, I've done public speaking at conferences and stuff like that. And I do a lot of I've done teaching since since that time too. The only time I ever got nervous was when I was talking about something that one question would have absolutely popped any bubble of credibility I had, and I did that once, and I thought, I am never doing that again. If someone says, can you speak about, it was about websites, and I know enough about websites in my mind to be what I call dangerous, but I have a whole division of my company that works on SEO and Google pay-per-click and web development and all this other kind of stuff, because that's a very specialized skill, and I'm not even going to pretend that I know how to do that. But they asked me at this particular training event to talk about it, and so I did. but I was so freaked out that someone was going to ask me a question about it, because I knew that it was tenuous at best in terms of how much authority I really felt I could use to sit. And that was about 6-7 years ago, and I've never done it since, and I swore I would never do it. So now when I go and I could speak to 10,000 people, and I don't care. As long as I know what I'm talking about, I'm good, right? I'm okay, and I'm confident in that. And that's why I tell my kids, right? You don't have to be the smartest. You don't have to be the most talented. You just have to be the hardest worker, and you have to know what you're talking about, right? Yeah. So
and this format actually makes it a lot easier too, because like I'm having you on. I mean, if there is something, like, I'm not going to talk in depth about mortgage rules, right? As an agent, I'm very familiar with them, and I make it a point to make myself familiar with them. But if you really want to get into the nitty gritty of like mortgage financing and that sort of thing, I'm not the guy. But it's easy enough for me to get somebody like yourself to jump up on Skype or on Google Hangouts and bring them on here for free.
Yeah, let them do it. Exactly.
None of this is costing me any money. Like YouTube and Google and Skype and everything else is free. So I'm just bringing an expert on, somebody that probably I work with fairly regularly, like a mortgage broker or an investment banker or somebody like that, and say, hey, do you want to come on for half an hour and talk about stuff? You'll get some exposure for yourself. We'll put your contact information out there. Maybe you'll pick up some clients. But then I can have an expert on here, and I'll ask the questions that regular people would ask. I'll ask the things that I'm interested in, that I want to know, and get the answer from the horse's mouth, so to speak, right? So then I can, and essentially I'm borrowing their credibility, because you know now that I work with these people, right? So I'm working with experts and that sort of thing, and that's what I bring to bear. And so that just kind of, it enhances your profile too, and the fact that you're willing to make the effort to bring those people on to share that information with everybody also just increases your social credit, right? And we talk about social credit and that sort of thing.
And you're doing the work for them. So now I know, like, I might not have a really good lender relationship, but if you're going to be my realtor and I trust you, and then you have this other person come on and you speak knowledgeably and they seem knowledgeable, and it seems to kind of all make sense, well, I'll just go with you, one-stop shop, right? Like you've got all the connections, and that's how people need to look at their realtor, is as a connector. And bringing everyone together, so that I don't have to, again, go out there and figure like, what the hell do I have to do? And, I need to find someone to do this and someone to do that. And it gets really, really stressful, because, stress is a big part of moving. It's why I hate doing it so much.
Absolutely. And that's what we talked about too, even down at Inman, is that the role of the agent is changing, and using social media and marketing and targeting to sort of expand upon our role is going to become critical, because you're not just about the listing anymore. Like, we've done everything that we could possibly do with the listing. The data is there, the photos are there, the video, the 3D tours. It's there. It's been done. So now the question is, what else do you have to offer? And so the space to grow is like in the space around the listing. It's about, what's the community like? Am I going to feel safe there? Are my kids going to be happy there? If I need help doing renovations or getting information about the schools or the restaurants, can you, as an agent, provide that? And this format, this video format on Facebook or whatever it is, gives us a unique opportunity, a very powerful opportunity to share that knowledge, to demonstrate to people that, we can provide that, we can be that. And so the agents that do that are going to be the ones that really separate themselves from the pack, right? You
know what else you can use this format for? Like, again, specifically talking about this live format, a lot of realtors, not a lot, but a few realtors, they do like in-person seminars. And that is a huge time commitment for people. They've got to leave the comfort of their home. They have to plan for in advance. And so getting people to come to those can be painful. And some people say, Rebecca, can you run an ad to get people to join my seminar? But you're going cold traffic to giant commitment. And I'm like, I could, but I don't like to. And so what this will do is it allows you to build relationships so that people get to see you, so that when you do have an in-person kind of an event, they already feel like they know you. And so that giant commitment doesn't even exist. They're just like, oh, I get to meet you in person? Sweet. Now it's an invitation, right? So it's like when for my Adam system, my automated marketing system, we do lead scoring. So we don't just track open rates, we track engagement rates. Did you watch a video? Did you open a PDF? Did you fill in a form? Like, did you do something? And then what we do is we assign scores, so the people who do more stuff get a higher score, so that when my clients, because there's lead gems them where the leads come to you and then, you're expected to do something with them. But sometimes you want to take data from your list and say, how can I, get money out of this sucker? And you can look at your database and they're scored from top to bottom, most valuable to least. And when you look at their contact record, you can see they watched a video about selling, they downloaded a PDF about selling, they did everything that they were really intrigued about has everything to do with selling. So when you call them, it's now a conversation about selling, not a cold call at all. Right? And and it doesn't get awkward and weird. And you're not talking about, starting off with, oh, hi, it's Rebecca. And they're like, who? Right? Yeah. Which I get all the time. I really wish that people would stop doing that. They're like, hi, it's so-and-so. And I'm like, uh-huh.
Right.
Like,
sure. Okay.
I don't know you. And so immediately my answer is no. Whatever it is you're asking, it's going to be like a dead ass no.
Yeah.
So this format, again, it has so many, it provides so many opportunities for you to use it to close. And again, what are you using it for? You should be using it to build a relationship, to lower the sort of objections they have to talking to you on the phone or meeting you in person, because every realtor knows that if you can get someone in front of you, your close rate is between 90 and 100%.
Yep.
That's what everybody says to me. So the question is, how do you get more of those? Yep. This is one. Right.
And it expands beyond. I mean, we're specifically talking about real estate, but basically any type of business field, especially small businesses. If you're working in certain communities, you can really hyper target certain communities. And if you get into a system like you're talking about, where you can really look at what people are engaging with, and you can tailor future content to meet the needs. So basically, you're giving people what they want. You're just using the data to figure out what is it that you want from me, instead of me guessing and just doing like a million different topics in real estate. But maybe the people that specifically watch me only want to know about 5 things. So okay, then that's what I'm going to focus on, and that's what I'm going to give you, because all those 95 other things just aren't useful to you. So why am I going to spend time talking about them, right? It just, you don't go to a listing appointment, or at least when I go to a listing appointment, I could sit there and give a listing presentation, and this is what people used to do, with like a big binder full of stuff and stats about a million different things. But the people that you're talking to, it's like they're just like glassed over, their eyes are glassed over, and they're like, all I want to know is how much my house is worth and how fast you think I could sell it. I don't care about any of this other. I don't care about anything else. But why you keep talking to me about it and stuff? So you're really just trying to tailor your content to what people want from you. We're getting a bit long, so I just want to kind of move along. We're almost an hour. Oh, that's fine. I just, I want to get going. I know, because we have a few other things. So the only other thing we kind of wanted to touch on was just some of the changes and what that does to your organic reach. I know you mentioned that on Facebook. Yep. I'll leave it up to you. What do you think? What do you think's happening with Facebook, and how's that impacting what we're putting out there for people to look at?
Sure. So the first set of rules that came through were the ones I talked about the video and the meaningful, thoughtful commentary. So that's really what Facebook's looking for. This past Monday, on February the 12th, I did a really short video on the rule number 1, don't panic. Rule number 2, see rule number 1. They didn't actually change anything except the reporting of your organic reach. So in the past, so February 11th and previous, an impression, so a reach, would have been if you were logged into Facebook and at that time my ad loaded onto your newsfeed, but it didn't matter if you saw it or not, that was considered an impression. Well, that's not accurate. So all they've done is they've improved the accuracy of the organic reach numbers to say these people actually went past or engaged or looked at your ad or your content, right? So that's the ad reach numbers changed like years ago, but the content reach numbers didn't quite fall into line until February the 12th. So in terms of, again, how do you get more reach? What I said, you have to do video. And I did an analysis myself because I like to test everything. And I actually scaled back a little bit on the frequency. So I do maybe one every other day, but I would do 2 to 3 videos in a week, 30 seconds, 1 minute, live. I'm building a show right now, just sort of putting some sort of elements together and what that's going to be, because that's sort of the next iteration. But at a bare minimum, all you need to do is a couple of little 30-second snaps on, again, do your mind map, pick a topic, talk about the topic, and you're done, right? That's all you really need to do in order to get that reach. So organic reach killers any automated content, any content from a third-party source like a Hootsuite. Those are just don't even use the scheduler on Facebook if you need to schedule your content. But that live and in action kind of stuff, video-based stuff is what's really going to kill it. And again, Facebook Live, way over and above anything else you could possibly do. So the faster you get more comfortable with it, and sometimes, you just go. Like when I launched my Atom program in early September 2017, it wasn't ready, but I'm like, fuck it, like away we go, because and my team was not very happy with me. They're like, we're not ready. I'm like, we're never ready. Let's go. And I basically chucked them all off the boat, right? And we went, and we're fine, and we've learned and we've grown and we've improved. But you're never gonna be ready. You're never gonna feel 100%, and those fears and those things holding you back, like it's just you, and you're fine. So those are the kinds of things. So reach didn't change. The reporting of reach changed. So you're down about 25% over what you would have seen last week to what you're seeing now. But it's actually better reporting, and I'm all about better reporting. So it's an improvement. It just, the optics are bad, but you're not. It's fine. It's the easiest way is just go on my Facebook page. You can either look up my name if you type in Rebecca Mountain, or if you type in, even easier, Impetus Consulting. It's Impetus, IMPETUS Consulting. You can go to my business page there, and then there's a send message button. Again, you send me a message, you're going to get an instant reply that has a link that goes straight into my calendar, and it'll book I think it's a 45-minute conversation with me. And so just show up at the appointed hour, and I'm happy to talk to you. But you can also go to my website. So again, it's impetusconsulting.ca. I've got a bunch of videos there about my services, so I actually sort of break them down, the Atom system, the lead generation system, my SEO, blogging, email marketing and stuff like that. So it's all there. And just I'm pretty easy to find. The only thing is, if you Google me, the first one that comes up is like some chick who married an 800-pound man, and that wasn't me. That's the wrong Rebecca Mountain. We're very proud that he's lost his weight, but not me. Then I'm a landmass in like Alabama or Tennessee. That's what happens when your last name is Mountain. And then I'm the next one. So yeah.
Sorry, my mic was dead there. So that was Rebecca Mountain from Rebecca Mountain at Impetus Consulting. She'll be showing up at the Reality Conference February 27th to March 1st. She will actually be presenting on March 1st, but she'll also be on a panel with Andrew Foliato and Danny Wood, as I mentioned. So that'll be a lot of fun. I hope to get to see you all there. She'll be there. She's very approachable. You can see her there. You can check her out at impetusconsulting.ca to engage her and ask her some more questions and check out on her services there. So basically, yeah, that's it for me today. I do appreciate you all tuning in. There's not a whole lot of questions. There was a question there about the type of software that I'm using, etc. It is Open Broadcaster software. Danny is the one I showed you when you came to our office. And there's a bunch of things there. So if you are interested in that, please feel free to message me. And that's really about it. That's all I got to say for you this Sunday afternoon. So again, I do appreciate you all coming in and listening for a while. If you do have any questions after the fact, please feel free to private message me here. I'll do my best to get in touch with you and answer any questions that you might have. So until next time, keep an eye out. We'll have some more interviews this week as we get closer to the conference. And yeah, have a good rest of the Sunday afternoon. As always, I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.